since my understanding is of socialism, communism, is that the workers control the means of production. That's not a bad thing. The workers could control the factories. We're all intelligent people, especially intelligent people. So, I mean, just because you're a worker, just because you're, relegated to get a shit job just, to eke out a tiny little survival existence for sustenance to get your bread, that doesn't make you a bad, a dumb person or stupid, or there's anything wrong with you. So I think the workers can control the factories. I think the workers could probably control the factories better than the capitalists can, especially since there's a capitalist tax. There's a capitalist tax. The capitalist wants to maximize their profits. That's their fiduciary responsibility. Right? For Milton Friedman, the primary social responsibility of a corporation or a business is a fiduciary one. You got to make as much fucking money as possible, as much profit and bread, so that way you can pass it out to themselves, their stockholders, keep the business afloat, but to make sure they maximize profit. So if that's what they're trying to do when it comes to the cost of a pizza, when they say, well, how much is this pizza? What is the price of a commodity? The price of a commodity is the price that it takes to produce it. So the price that it takes to produce it is not the price that they sell. They sell it at an inflated, jacked up price. So the capitalist can try to blend the two, balancing forces. The capitalist can say, okay, what does the people want? What does the people want? Let's give it a superior product at a good price, and then figure out, the rest of it. Get some assembly line in here, get something in here to be able to, make it to where we can get a good product or service for a good price. The customers are happy with what we're offering, but we're not adding all of it to where it's, goddamn $50 pizza. We don't want $50 pizzas. We don't want $20 pizzas. I love a $5 pizza. $5 pizza, I know it's not going to be the best, but it's actually, I'm hungry, so it really tastes fucking delicious. $5 out the door. Minimum wage is $10 an hour. How can a corporation sell pizza for $5? Did they not factor in the labor? There is a labor, labor theory of value, labor. So there's labor power. Well, so let's just add it up. So basically, I was reading something about Karl Marx, and this is what made me think about this. So they were sitting there, okay, let's add up what's the price of a commodity. The price of a commodity is equal to the price that it takes to produce. So if you produce a pizza, how much it actually costs? Well, you had the ingredients, you had the dough, pizza sauce, pepperoni, sausage, bacon, green peppers, onions, whatever. You had to buy all the ingredients, and then you had to buy the building and the oven, the electricity, the capital costs, the overhead, the permits, incorporation documents, past regulatory agencies such as the health department. So the cost of the pizza, let's add all this up. You got the ingredients. Let's say $5. Then you got the wear and tear on it can't be $5. Let's say $3, right? Because if you're selling it above the ingredients, so shit. You could try to work on the labor, make it labor more efficient, more productive. But when it comes to the ingredients, you're going to lose money if you don't cover the cost of ingredients. So, okay, the cost of ingredients, let's say, is $3. The wear and tear on the capital and maintenance costs, the electricity, all that, let's say it's $3 too. So now you got $6, and then the labor power it took to make it is $2. So 3 plus 3 plus 2, $8. The value of the pizza is going to be what it's negotiated for, but the actual price, what is the actual cost that of that pizza, the actual price of that pizza is 3 plus 3 plus 2. So it's $8 in my hypothetical here. So, since the pizza cost $8, then they're going to have to maximize profits and try to, keep this company afloat. Well, how are they going to do that? The price of a commodity is equal to the cost of production, including its labor cost. That's Karl Marx. So selling the pizza for $8 would break even. Now you could sell for $10. That's reasonable, right? $10 is a reasonable price. You can also sell for $20. So $10 is a reasonable rate. $20 is the unreasonable thing. Let's say he goes for $15. That's still $5 not reasonable. But the corporation must profit. He learned all this shit in economics. Maximize profits. The owner sells his pizza pie now for $15 per pizza, and nobody buys it. So because he needed to add On top of the $10, $5 for himself. He needed to, get his beak wet. He needed to dip into the gravy train. He needed to shake that money tree in the wine cave. He needed to make sure his shareholders and his, wife gets a fancy fur coat. So he needed to make some money. He's charging pizzas at $15. Nobody's buying it. Now the corporation went down. So there's a capitalist tax. When I think about the socialist idea of workers controlling the factories, it's like the plantations. The slaves can control the plantation. Well, you're telling me that slaves don't know how to put cotton in a bag and go to the market and say, okay, here, buy this for $1. You don't think they can figure that out? I think the slaves, I have great respect for the average common man. And so I think the average common man can run the factory, especially with his other common men collectively, put all their brains together. Why couldn't they? The slaves could run the plantation. So the capitalist, just like the plantation owners, they're just the, overhead. They're just the corporate elite that sit up on high, and they don't actually do anything when it comes to, they sit up on high on their fucking thrones. So they sit on high on their corporate thrones and they tax everybody for, pizzas. They sunk the damn corporation instead of actually making a product for as efficient as possible to make it a good product for what the people actually wanted. They made themselves a throne of gilded gold and they sunk everybody, skimmed as much of the cream on top as possible. They exploited the working classes, sweat, blood, toil, and tears, and maximized profit. It's what respectable businesses are supposed to do. It's their civic duty. The invisible hand of the free markets aren't just good, but they're perfect, says Milton Friedman. So that's the capitalist tax. The fucking plantation owners, the capitalists who sit on their ass, they don't do any labor, they don't do anything. They organize, they put up the money, they put up the buildings, all this other fucking bullshit. We don't need them. We don't need the capitalist class just like the slaves didn't need the plantation class. We don't need the owner's tax, the manager's tax, whatever you want to call it. An intelligent working man can maximize profits and maximize the selling of many people. It's supply and demand. So if you can't cut one, you cut the other. Use smart marketing, use assembly lines, use a bonus system, whatever it takes. Maybe get some robots in there. Labor is labor power, so the corporation needs to use the creative output of people as smartly as they can. Manual labor is one thing, but if all the employees are just thinking of the bottom line, thinking about how to maximize profits, how to, produce a great product for the people, that's a great working environment. That's a corporation. That's a company I want to work with. So they'd figure it out. They would figure it out. Little Caesars sells their hot and ready pizzas for $5 a pie. So that means it takes at least 2 pizzas they got to sell to pay for the labor cost. But what Little Caesars is banking on, they're going to produce a lot more pizzas, and they're going to do it efficiently, and they're going to have higher productivity. So instead of just producing 2 pizzas, what if that one person who's getting paid $10 an hour produces 50 pizzas? 50 times 5, that's $250. $250 minus the 10, they just made $240 for that corporation. If they can figure out a way to make 50 pizzas. So they paid for themselves by just selling 2 pizzas. They've already paid for themselves. But, Little Caesars is a corporation. They got corporate structure, board of directors, and, director of intelligence, and this and that. So instead of forcing all the customers to pay for all and every bit of the capital that they perceive, an equilibrium needs to be reached between supply and demand. It needs to be, assorted appropriately and properly. If the corporation started selling pizzas at $5, could the company organize themselves in such a way to make a profit? Little Caesars is doing it. So, yeah. Fucking $15 for pizza, fuck you. And then they'll complain, oh, I gotta charge because I gotta pay for health care like Papa John's. I gotta pay for all my employees' health care. I gotta charge more money. So Little Caesars figure out you get to sell a pie for $5. And if you don't even need to produce 50. That makes 240. All you gotta do is produce 3 pizzas and you're already making profit. So anybody that takes that labor value away from that employee. I mean, that basically that laborer is keeping that entire organization afloat. So the capitalist is exploiting all these workers, and they're trying to exploit as much as they can, right? Increasing output and efficiency helps to make the surplus value, and that's where the profits come from. If it wasn't for the workers, the whole thing would collapse. The workers are the force, the energy that keeps everything moving. Even a executive, a CEO needs to work, needs to produce, and needs to be productive. So that energy, that movement, labor is what makes everything go. Not just, capitalism, but socialism. Labor makes it all go. When workers build an apartment building, they'll get paid for their hourly wage, but then they go home. And then that apartment building is going to make a shit ton of money for that capitalist. They can make a shit ton of money from each one of those apartment buildings from their limited amount of labor that they gave. So the workers gave their labor and they got paid, but the capitalist is going to make a shit ton of fucking money. So if we take away the capitalist tax, we could be more efficient as a corporation, but also just think about that capitalist, that apartment building. Workers could build the apartment building and then live in it and invite their families, and now they got a nice, decent apartment building that they built with their own hands that they could actually stay in, and their kids could stay in, and they could raise a family instead of just handing it off to the capitalist to, charge them double the rate and then wind up evicting them anyways. So the capitalist took the labor power, the creativity, and the work that it went into, and then they make money on the apartment building for years and years and years. That's the capitalist tax. And we all, when it comes to taxes, we all have to pay for those taxes. So the capitalists do fucking charge, extra tax. I think the workers can control the factory. The slaves can control the plantation. And if you pay for, a management class, you pay for the owners to, skim off the top, sit on their fat ass, and tell you what to do. No respected person, it sounds insane, actually. If somebody was like, hey, okay, I got you a deal. You go ahead and you work the plantation, you plant all the plants, and you get all the fruit, and you assemble all of it for nothing, and I'll make all the money. But wait, hear me out. I won't beat the shit out of you too much. I'll be a benevolent master, and I'll feed you and clothe you, and I'll give you some housing. What do you say? I say you're fucking crazy. You have to, somebody has to be really desperate and oppressed to think that that's a deal. So yeah, that's my thoughts about the tax. The capitalists add a tax because they want to maximize their profits and therefore soak everybody else. And that's just, such a typical tactic for all capitalists, right? Buy low, sell high. Buy low, sell high. Everybody wants to do that, though. Everybody wants to get a good deal. So the capitalists soaking everybody knows that you're fucking them over. Everybody knows it, and they hate you for it, and they resent you for it. And they should, because it's a fucking tax that's unnecessary. And we should keep our own labor. Shouldn't we keep what our labor produces? If we had no capitalist class, then we would get paid for what our products actually bring in. We would get paid literally for that which we produce. So it's totally up to the workers, to make the money. And what? They got to figure out the markets to sell in. Like, that's real fucking hard. You want to buy this? Yeah, sure. $100. Okay, thanks. Bye. Delivered. Done. What's so hard about that? No, payroll, and then you got to do that and this. Shut up. Anybody can do that shit. So anyways, that's my thoughts about a capitalist tax. Peace.